Second Capital Planning Advisory Board meeting to order. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Senator Rawlings,
Here.
Representative Lawrence, Pat Abel,
Here.
Rocky Adkins, Charles Byers,
Here.
Carol Henderson, John Hicks,
Here.
Brian Hicks, Keith Jackson,
Here.
Patsy Jackson,
Here.
Holly Johnson,
Here.
Zach Ramsey, Danny Rhodes,
Here.
David Rhodes,
Here.
Representative Dotson,
Here.
and Senator Boswell presiding.
Here. Do we have a quorum?
We do.
Okay. And before proceeding with business, we'd ask all members and all guests to please silence their cell phones. Each member has a copy of the minutes of the May 21st meeting. Do I have approval to, do I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Motion by
Second.
second. Okay. Do we need a vote on that? Okay.
They just stand approved.
Do the move.
No, they just stand
Okay.
approved.
Okay, that's good. Okay, the minutes will stand approved. Well, and we'd like to welcome a new member. We have one new executive branch, a board member appointed by the governor to welcome to the board today, Secretary Keith Jackson of the Justice and Public Safety Cabinet. Thank you. Welcome to our board. And we look forward to his expertise and contribution. We have a new executive, information items. Okay, Liz?
There are two information items before the board today. The first document outlines agency responses to outstanding questions asked by board members at the last meeting. The second document addresses capital plan amendments made by state agencies that testified at our last meeting during the first revision period. If there are no questions on these documents, we will proceed with hearing the Commonwealth of Office of Technology's report on information technology project recommendations. If you guys want to come to the table.
Will the representatives of COT please come to the table and identify themselves for the record? Please make sure your microphone is on and pull close and proceed.
I'm Jim Barnhart, CIO for the Commonwealth Office of Technology.
Hi, and I'm Deborah Weber. I am a Division Director for the Commonwealth Office of Technology.
All right, thank you. I'd like to appreciate the opportunity to share with you the results of the IT capital projects reviewed by the scoring and completed by the panel. During the capital planning process, COT is primarily responsible for the review, the assessment, and the enterprise ranking for executive branch IT projects. By this board allowing us to provide input on IT projects proposals, it allows us to lend our technical expertise to help ensure proposed projects are feasible, aligned with statewide standards, and not duplicating existing efforts. An independent panel reviewed and evaluated the proposed capital projects. Having representatives from multiple agencies ensures balanced review that includes a variety of operational viewpoints. The Commonwealth Office of Technology, COT, scheduled sessions where each agency presented an overview of their IT needs and proposed projects. These sessions gave the review panel a chance to better understand each project's goals, scopes, and expected results. Following the presentations, the panel then evaluated and assigned scores to each project. Scoring is based on well-defined standardized criteria to ensure fairness, consistency, alignment with statewide technology priorities. This process helps keep everything transparent and on track. It gives us a clear way to make data-driven decisions so we can feel confident that our IT investments are smart and well managed. It also helps make sure capital funds go towards projects that offer most impact and are ready to move forward and align with strategic goals. The Capital Project Scoring Committee included 10 scores from key executive branch entities. The Commonwealth reviewed 16 capital IT project requests with a total estimated cost of $330.5 million. Agencies provided detailed information that are closely aligned with the established scoring criteria. Committee members had the opportunity to ask follow-up questions and evaluate each project in real time during the presentations. Projects were automatically ranked and weighted using scoring prioritization with those high business value and lower risk. Again, this approach helped ensure that the process was fair, transparent, with IT projects reviewed objectively and prioritized based on their value and risk. This slide presents the final list of capital IT project requests ranked overall by the independent review panel. This next slide is the same as the previous with one adjustment. All the projects reviewed bring value and would benefit the Commonwealth in different ways. That said, I recommend the Enterprise Application and Artificial Intelligence Inventory System that was currently ranked number 11 deserves a higher spot on the list. I'm recommending it move to number 4 because it directly supports the requirements of Senate Bill 4 and significant enterprise-wide impact across state government. This slide and the next one shows the key criteria we use to evaluate capital projects. We have a structured, consistent process that helps us prioritize projects based on strategic value, readiness, impact, and overall alignment with agency and statewide goals. This approach ensures we're investing in the right projects at the right time. Thank you for your time today.
Okay, thank you. You going to speak also?
All right.
Jim took care of it all.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate your presentation.
All righty. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, before you leave, does any of the members have a question? All right, thank you for your presentation.
All righty. Thank you.
Okay, for today's capital plan overviews, we have 5 state agencies that are going to be presenting today. We did get a little bit of a late start, so if at all possible, we'd like to try to keep you to about 10 minutes. Will the representative of the Department of Military Affairs please come to the table and identify yourselves for the record? Make sure your microphones are on and then you pull it close, and we will proceed.
Joe Sanderson, Director of Facilities Division for the Department of Military Affairs.
Kenny Staley, Facility Management Officer, Kentucky Army National Guard.
Brigadier General Retired Charles Jones, Executive Director, Department of Military Affairs.
Chuck Ammons, Assistant Director, Military Affairs.
All right, gentlemen, welcome, and ladies. Welcome and proceed.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to get you back on schedule, sir. Okay? I'll be brief out of here. The Department of Military Affairs consists of 352 full-time state employees in support of the Kentucky Army and Air National Guard, which is 7,938 military members. That consists of 790 Title 10 or 32 AGR soldiers, 609 federal military technicians. This slide that's up right now depicts the dispersion of the Kentucky National Guard units across the state. We're in 300 state-owned facilities consisting of hangars, armories, readiness centers, located on, that's equates to 2.4 million square foot of space. Got 1,327 acres state property, 12,000, which is, 12,000, which is training sites, one located at Western Kentucky, 2 in Eastern Kentucky at Hidden Valley, and Artemis at Barberville. Next slide. This slide here depicts total projects of $43 million. Federal funds is 21,273,000. State general funds is 21,758,000. The increases that we'll talk about across these projects, these 8 projects, are due to federal changes in the rhythms that they use and the algorithms to equate and do the square footage increase and the cost, economic cost of the increase. First one is that is a increase in maintenance pool to offset the elimination of modernization pool, and that's due to federal changes, the way NGB equates it. The second one you see on that plan is 50%, 50-50 between federal and state. It's to do our long-range planning, statewide Armory Master Plan. The number 3 is the Readiness Center at Somerset. That was budgeted initially by the state in 22-24 budget. The increases across the 3 bienniums so far has been $16 million since the 2022 budget was passed. That's based on the factors that the Corps of Engineers uses to equate the price per foot and also inflation. The next one is Project 4. That's the Shelbyville Armory. That armory was built in the mid-'80s when Kentucky National Guard was the first Army National Guard unit to receive the M1 tank battalions. Those they did not drill at that unit. It was a headquarters only unit. There is no drill hall there currently. All drills was conducted at Fort Knox. Project 6, that's the future home of the Kentucky Army National Guard Band. That facility became available once we completed the Joint Forces headquarters. We were able to move and merge forces into the Joint Forces headquarters, vacating that building to upgrade it and bring our band on the installation where it's now located off of US 60. Next slide. 6, that's construction of Armory 4. That is where the band's currently located at. That building will be reconfigured to be used as a future home for our recruiting command and our DEER site. That allows us to get those off of a storefront lease that we've had for several years. They've been there, as you know, in the National Guard Association building there on US 60. We bring them back onto state property, get out from under the lease. Number 7, that's Ashland Armory. That is the oldest armory in our inventory. It was built late 40s, early 50s. Needs some major repairs to keep it operational. 8, that's Kentucky Youth Challenge, and that's continue to maintain that structure at Harlan, Kentucky. Next slide. This slide for 2026-28, this slide includes 13 projects, total $65 million, $55 million, which is federally funded, federally funds. 10.5 million is restricted funds, agency generated, so there is no ask for general funds there. We do expect the Jackson FMS, we're finally going to be able to replace that after 4 floodings in 5 years, I think it was. We're moving it to the Panbo facility that we was able to trade out for. We expect a cost increase on there. That's based to usage, Army Corps of Engineers changing their calculation factors. Next one. There's no question. Next slide. This slide here, it provides us the ability. That 15 million had been in the budget for several bienniums. It got struck out of the last one. I think that was some cleanup on other projects that were scheduled for Bluegrass Station. It got deleted in a verdict, is what I feel. That's to add it back in. Those are restricted agency generated funds. It allows us the ability to quickly respond to our customer needs over there and construct facilities to get them in without having to go through another biennium and general session. And those are agency generated funds.
I think we got a couple of questions, but I think we'll wait towards the end to ask them.
I'm ready for your questions, sir. I'm gonna get you on schedule.
Go ahead. Oh, you're finished.
Pin your question, sir.
Well, you're finished other than our questions? Or you want to move?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Representative Dodson has a question.
Thank you for your presentation today and the work that you do. The question I have, going back to where you said, going back to the 22 budget, you said something, I think $16 million of an increase
Yes,
since
sir.
that budget
So
approval?
in 22-24, it was budgeted for the Somerset Armory, which was a $23 million project, 19 million federal, 4 million to state. That was budgeted in that biennial. It didn't get federally picked up and didn't get on the FIDAP, the federal FIDAP.
Gotcha.
So it didn't get on the next year's. You guys increased in 24-26 to reflect those increase in costs and calculation processes used by USAs, by the Army Corps of Engineers, I'm sorry. This 26-28 reflects, it's been across 3 bienniums so far. The increased cost of that facility now is $39,540,000. Yeah.
So the delay from the federal government side
Yes,
has
sir.
really been the holdup?
Yes, sir, and that's to get on the MILCON list. This year, what Colonel Staley and his folks are tracking, they are gonna have it on the MILCON list, and it should be budgeted this year. But as you know, all you gotta do is turn on TV, that's
Sure.
all up in the air.
Right.
So as it stands today, we're asking for a state match of $9.8 million to match in the 29.6 federal to build out the Armory, the Readiness Center there at Somerset, Kentucky.
Okay, that makes sense. I appreciate that explanation because I was wanting to see if it was on the state side, but I'm glad to hear it is
No,
on
sir,
the
it's
on the
federal.
federal
Yep.
side.
You've been more gracious in trying to get the facility over there.
Well, thank you so much.
Do we have any other questions from any other members? Mr. X?
Chairman, thank you, General. On the same project, how far along into design phase is the Somerset project?
So we're currently we're still in a conceptual state. We're not at 35% yet. We're hoping that we'll get picked up this year, and we feel that we will. We've removed some aspects of the project that should make us more favorable for consideration amongst the MILCON planners and NGB. And once we get that nod, it'll move to 35% rather fast.
Just so still in phase A
Yes, sir.
of the design, and the reason being the scope of work kind of is dependent upon the federal actions in the MILCON budget.
That's correct.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I have one question, or maybe two myself. In the plan, item number 2, which is the statewide Army Master Plan, the $2 million. So who does that?
See,
Where does the $2 million go? Who actually puts that plan together? Federally funded, half of it, but
Yes, sir. We, thank you. We'll have a selection committee and go through the finance cabinet, and we'll select a firm to head up that master plan, and then we'll have all the agencies, federal and state, involved with Department of Military Affairs to be part of that kickoff, and it usually takes at least a year to get that done. And I think there might be there's a federal requirement to have that done every 5 years, but I think it's been 20.
7.
It's been a while.
We're 7 years right now.
that's not something that can be done in-house.
No.
You have to get a consultant. Okay.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah, the other question I have, you mentioned about the employees. You said you had 352 employees now and 7,000, I think it was, 938 service members. How do those numbers, what do they look like as compared to, say, to 2 or 3 years ago? Are those numbers going up, going down in each category, just roughly?
The state employees, we've got 352 state employees. Sir, those have held relatively even.
Okay.
Across the technician force and the AGR force, the full-time guardsmen, whether they're a federal technician or a Title 32 AGR service member.
Right.
Those, the Title 32 has kind of held over the years. The technicians have taken I want to say they've lost 25 due to this.
35, sir.
Was it 35? Yeah. 35 due to the incentive since Doge come out and offered the jump off.
All right. If there's no other questions, we appreciate your presentation. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Good day.
Okay. Okay, next we have the Department of Veterans Affairs. Will you please come forward and identify yourselves for the record? Again, make sure your microphone's on. Make it close so we can hear you.
Good afternoon. Juan Renault, Kentucky Department of Veterans Affairs, Deputy Commissioner.
Good afternoon, Mark Bowman, Executive Director of the Office of Kentucky Veteran Centers.
Like I said, good afternoon. We have 7 projects outlined for 26-28, and I'll run through those here. The Radcliffe, that's not ours. That's the only, okay. Yeah. Sorry. So the Radcliffe Veterans Center HVAC replacement, we requesting, it was previously funded to complete phase 1 of this project, which addresses the patient units. Additional funding will be required to cover the remaining 2 units, patient units, and some of the administrative and dining facilities portions of the facility. Considering the consultant recent updates estimating and allowing for cost escalation and contingency, an estimated additional $16 million will be required to complete the remainder of the facility. If this phase 2 can be funded in the upcoming budget, the appropriation would align with us so that we can immediately continue in effort to complete the entire facility as quickly as possible. The current plan has phase 2 ready to bid in June of 26. So that contract could be awarded immediately and provided it's included in the budget, and we could not interrupt the ongoing work that's going on in phase 1. We have an additional request in our maintenance pool for 26 of $1.5 million, and that's based on calculations of 10% annual increase over the base plan and address inflationary service and materials cost increase for FY 27 and 28. And then we'll further adjust it for Western Kentucky Veteran Centers dietary and exterior renovation process and other life cycle replacement needs for the veteran centers and cemeteries. We have a renovation process out at Eastern Kentucky Veteran Cemetery Center, excuse me. So that's an increase of about 1.1 million added to that project renovation, and that's just for some other exterior upgrades that did not meet the threshold for individual capital project. Western Kentucky is the same. We had is at $5 million, what was previously asked. So, and that's just to continue with the renovations, including replacement of flooring as well as nursing station renovations and replacement of some other service areas across the facility or refurbishment. At Thompson Hood, we're replacing the cooling tower. So this project is at $1.5 million, and that's basically a life cycle issue. Those towers have reached their time with that building, so need to be replaced. Renovations at Western Kentucky in the amount of 1.8. Again, that's just renovating the parking lot and outdoor lighting structures to upgrade that lighting and provide better safety at that facility. Excuse me. We're renovating the parking lot at Eastern Kentucky as well, and that's again, that's just, it was already in the, like the other one was in the 20 excuse me, what's the it was already in the, it was in the previous it was already in the capital plan, excuse me.
In the 6-year plan.
In the 6-year plan, yeah, excuse me. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. And yeah, that was our 7th one, so. That's it.
That's it. Well, do we have any questions from our members? What? Director Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just quick question on the cemeteries. You know, you've got a federally funded project for a columbarium wall there at Grayson.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember, Juan, what the funding source, does that come through the VA?
That's federal funded. Yes, sir.
All right.
Sorry.
Thanks.
I wrote it down, didn't do it. That's what I said.
Well, if there are no other questions, gentlemen, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
And next we have KIA. Would you please come forward and identify yourself for the record and make sure your mic's turned on and pulled towards you so we can hear you.
Thank you, Chair Boswell and advisory board members. I'm Sandy Williams, Executive Director with the Kentucky.
Ms. Williams, I'm sorry, but I don't know if we can.
Am I
you
not
pull-
close enough?
Pull a little closer. There you go.
My husband might say this is the first time nobody's heard me. So thank you, Chair Boswell and advisory board members. I'm Sandy Williams, Executive Director with the Kentucky Infrastructure Authority. Over the past 37 years, since 1988, the authority has provided over $3 billion in loan funding commitments, supporting over $5 billion in infrastructure projects. That averages out to just over $136 million of water and wastewater infrastructure projects a year. The good news is these loan funds are revolving. When we make a low-interest loan, we subsequently receive a loan repayment. We can then turn around and re-loan those funds, and we operate just like a bank. And to date, we have had 0 loan defaults. The best news is the majority of these dollars are federal dollars that Kentucky has access to because of the state match provided through Kentucky's general fund. We also administer grant funding for water and wastewater projects totaling just over $1.8 billion. In addition to our loan and grant programs, we also manage the Water Resource Information System, which gathers locally sourced infrastructure data, which is used for planning purposes to encourage regionalization, consolidation, and partnerships. The Infrastructure Authority's 6-year capital plan embraces the goals of securing all available federal funds for infrastructure, keeping our citizens safe, and moving toward the efficient use of all available funding. The Kentucky Infrastructure Authority is presenting in its 6-year capital plan a request totaling $298,439,000 in the first biennium, consisting of general, federal, and agency funds. The general fund portion of the plan includes the required 20% state match to receive the federal grants for our Clean Water State Revolving Fund. We call it Fund A, and our Drinking Water State Revolving Fund program, Fund F. This match has been provided to KIA since our inception in 1988. The state match requirement in the first biennium, our request is $27,742,000. We are also requesting consideration of an additional $25 million to capitalize KIA's state loan program called the Infrastructure Revolving Fund, or Fund B. The program provides funding to projects that are not eligible for the federally assisted programs and is targeted to infrastructure projects that support economic development and growth. The federal fund portion of our plan includes federal capitalization grants from the United States Environmental Protection Agency. The total federal grants available in the first biennium are estimated at $185,600,000 $697,000. The agency bond portion of the plan includes $30 million for leverage bonds for each year of our 2 federally assisted loan programs. These bonds will not be obligations of the Commonwealth, and they are backed solely by the loan repayments of the underlying state revolving fund loans. These types of bonds are available to KIA because of the revolving repayment streams generated by the borrower's loan repayments back to the SRF programs. KIA has successfully issued 4 series of these SRF leverage bonds, and we hold a AAA rating from S&P, Moody's, and Fitch. The authorization would only be used for these leverage bonds under 2 specific circumstances. There's demand in the program for the additional funding, and our financial advisors tell us that the additional debt service would not reduce any of the federal grant funds or state match funding. KIA has provided low-interest loan funding for more than 1,200 projects covering all corners of the Commonwealth, from Pikeville to Paducah. Everybody likes to say that one. From Louisville to Logan Todd, and projects that stretch along the Ohio River in Owensboro, Hawesville, Union, Maysville, and can be found locally in Frankfort, Lexington, and Winchester. And these low-interest loan programs help to keep utility rates low and provide necessary public infrastructure. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you, Ms. Williams. Do we have any questions? Senator Rawlings.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Does your department or is your purview include what the clean drinking water is, the quality of the drinking water, how that's determined, and how it compares to other states?
The assessment of the cleanness of the drinking water is done in the Energy and Environment Cabinet through their Division of Water. We do not have purview over that, sir.
Okay, good, thanks.
And I have one question. Oh, Director Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sandy, what's the kind of the average interest rate on the Fund A and Fund F loans these days that you charge to your grantees?
Yes, sir. So the interest rates range from 0.5% to 2.25%, and the average is just under around 1%. So we do provide highly subsidized rates to our utilities.
And I do have one question myself. On item number 3, the infrastructure revolving fund, about halfway down there, you mentioned failing privately owned package treatment plants. I know, for example, that there are several of these around the state who are not accessible to the infrastructure to get them online to another system. But at the same time, they have been regulated, and the costs have been astronomical. So would this apply to some of those type of facilities?
That's a great question. And the answer is maybe. So we are statutorily allowed to make loans to governmental agencies. So if the owner of the package treatment plant is a governmental agency, then yes, and other people would not be, we're not allowed to loan money to them.
Well, they wouldn't be privately owned if they were a governmental agency, right? I mean,
correct.
So I just meant, that's why it got my attention, because it mentions privately owned here in your presentation.
Oh, yes, sir. And so if a public utility were to purchase those and rehabilitate them, that would be an eligible expense under the loan program. Yes, sir.
Thank you, got that. Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
And now we'll have the Tourism, Arts, and Heritage Cabinet. Please come forward and identify yourself for the record. Make sure your mic's on and close to you so we can hear you. Thank you.
You want to go in the middle?
Good afternoon. I'm Mona Jewett. I'm Chief of Staff for the Tourism Arts and Heritage Cabinet.
Good afternoon. I'm Melissa Brewer. I'm the Finance Director of the Tourism Arts and Heritage Cabinet.
Good afternoon. My name is Jacob Lilly, and I'm an Executive Assistant for the Tourism Arts and Heritage Cabinet.
Okay, welcome. Proceed.
Right. The Tourism Arts and Heritage Cabinet serves as Kentucky's top tourism agency and collaborates with local tourism partners to coordinate efforts through legislation, tourism development, and marketing outreach. Next slide. These are our maintenance pools. Funding our agency's maintenance pools is critical. These projects are vital to protect the Commonwealth's investment in existing facilities and assets. The projects listed allow us to do much-needed renovations and deferred maintenance to projects in our agencies. Most of the agencies in our cabinet are revenue generating, and this investment will help bring tourists to Kentucky in the future. The following are the top priorities of our agencies.
Hi. So I'm going to start talking about Kentucky State Parks maintenance pools and then the rest of their top priorities. In order to preserve park lodges and other buildings, as well as improve the customer service experience, investment in capital projects that address structural, exterior, mechanical, and interior deficiencies is priority. A comprehensive upgrade of the 17 resort parks is crucial. These improvements will enhance all components from accommodations to amenities, ensuring a better experience for our visitors. Many of our campgrounds fall short of customer expectations. Prioritizing funding for upgrades will elevate the camping experience, making it more appealing and competitive, thereby increasing revenue. Our park pools, some are over 50 years old, urgently need restoration due to leaks and outdated systems. Investing in modern aquatic features enhances operational efficiency and improves guest satisfaction, attracting more visitors. Funding for the restoration of historic homes and buildings in our state parks preserves our heritage while improving recreational opportunities and building community engagement. Our state parks not only serve as a tourist attraction, but also support the communities they're located in. If parks are not up to date, it not only compromises visitation, but it also puts staff and guests in danger of safety issues. This funding is a continuation of the projects currently in progress and allows us to maximize the full potential of our Kentucky state parks. The Artisan Center. So we have all the best projects now. The Artisan Center sells Kentucky-made crafts and artwork, welcoming over 165,000 visitors a year. Expanding the restroom facilities to include a family restroom and private nursing room is vital for improving accessibility and comfort. To continue to bring travelers to the center, tackling outdoor needs like updating equipment and building an outdoor venue for live concerts will greatly increase the number of visitors and continue to support Kentucky artists while generating a new source of revenue. As the center serves as a rest area, electrical charging stations would add an additional incentive to stop at the center, allowing individuals to explore the grounds, shop and eat while their vehicles charge. Electrical charging stations would also allow the center to be more competitive and generate additional revenue. Additionally, a small solar array would help offset energy expenses and could be situated on the center's current outdoor property. This project not only reduces costs, but serves as a model for sustainable practices. The variety of these projects will accommodate new visitors, amplifying the investment in the Artisan Center and generating new forms of revenue.
All right, I'm going to talk about Kentucky Performing Arts. The Kentucky Performing Arts operates 3 venues in Louisville: the Kentucky Center, the Brown Theater, and Old Forester's Paris Town Hall. The Kentucky Center building is over 40 years old, and while it's been well maintained, many systems have reached the end of their lifespan. In an increasing number of cases, current equipment doesn't meet the technical requirements of touring productions, forcing them to book at other facilities. The updates are essential to keep the Kentucky Center viable. The Kentucky Center has stewarded its technical equipment and system through the years, but now requires an investment in more contemporary systems in rigging, control, sound, and lighting. The Kentucky Center requires electrical panel arc flash testing and panel replacements, including an arc flash assessment to identify and address deficiencies. This assessment will also involve the replacement of emergency lighting systems, retrofitting house lighting, and upgrading egress lighting in the Baumhard and Whitney theaters to smart LED. The Kentucky Center must ensure the safety and security of its artists, ticket buyers, and staff. The center is overdue for repair and/or replacement of exterior areas due to significant deterioration that raises safety and operational concerns. Areas include rear concrete plaza steps, both loading docks, the Main Street drive-through, Stairway 4 leading to security, including brick repair and caulking of glass panels. Theatrical rigging systems in Whitney Hall and the Baumhard Theater, which are original to the venue, must be brought to current code and modern function, including replacing the Baumhard Theater fire curtain. The center has large areas of patron and artist spaces that are in need of renovation as well. These include all the public restrooms, all artist dressing rooms, and carpet both backstage and in the theater vestibules. All right, next is the Kentucky Historical Society. The Society operates 3 buildings: the Old State Capitol, the Military History Museum, and the Thomas D. Clark Center for Kentucky History. Funding for the Old State Capitol will address issues necessary for the proper preservation and protection of the property and those who visit. The initial scope covers plaster preservation, lighting, and electrical upgrades, lead paint abatement, exterior landscaping, and wayfinding improvements. The original lifespan for the Kentucky Journey exhibition was 10 years. These spaces are now 24 years old and have had no upgrades. Museum renovations will cover over 25,000 square feet of exhibition space and 1,500 square feet of classroom and educational space. KHS must renovate orientation and customer service spaces, upgrade campus-wide signage and restrooms, and make safety improvements in order to stay competitive and encourage visitors to come to the facilities. To ensure employee and visitor safety, KHS critically needs a complete replacement of the existing security camera system, as well as a total replacement of all access control and all door hardware. In KHS's new strategic plan, KHS will acquire and transform the historic Frankfort Railroad Depot and parking lot located across from the History Center. This will support the completion of the Kentucky History Campus and will align with the long-range development plans of both the Historical Society, the City of Frankfort, and Franklin County. All right, Kentucky Horse Park. In 2024, the Horse Park welcomed over 1.7 million visitors and hosted 156 equine events, 91 non-equine events, and provided 167 group tours. Increased funding for the competition arenas is a direct investment in expanding KHP's revenue-generating capacity. By constructing new equestrian competition rings, KHP will have the ability to host multiple events simultaneously, dramatically increasing the park's capacity to accommodate large-scale equestrian competitions. The covered arena is the most frequently rented event space at KHP, and its continued functionality is paramount to maintaining the park's revenue flow. Replacing the arena's aging roof will eliminate ongoing maintenance issues such as leaks and compromised insulation.
Kentucky Venues. Kentucky Venues manages 2 of the most significant event and meeting venues in Louisville, generating an estimated economic impact of more than $385 million. By addressing current needs, venues can significantly enhance safety, functionality, and overall appeal for everyone who visits these spaces. Upcoming improvements include building a new north wing lobby, kitchen, ballroom, sky terrace, and outdoor plaza. They also plan to expand both the Freedom Hall and South Wing lobbies and renovate the office and administration spaces. Additional improvement projects include repairing the existing elevators and escalators at Kentucky Exposition Center and the Kentucky International Convention Center, infrastructure replacement, glass and pedway system improvements at the Kentucky International Convention Center, lighting replacement at both facilities, and wayfinding digital signage replacement. The Kentucky Exposition Center hosts major trade shows, but its lack of direct transit from downtown restaurants, hotels, and other attractions can limit competitiveness. The Louisville Transit Evaluation would study a transportation tunnel connecting Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport to downtown Louisville via the Kentucky Exposition Center, University of Louisville, Churchill Downs, Kentucky International Convention Center, Yum Center, Kentucky Center for the Arts, museums, hotel, and restaurants. Developing a transportation connection with these partners will ensure steady ridership beyond conventions and trade shows. A direct transit link would attract business investments, increase property values, and stimulate job creation through construction and operation. Kentucky Fish and Wildlife. Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources, Conservation, and Recreation programs help generate tremendous economic benefits to the Commonwealth from hunting, fishing, and other wildlife-related recreation. The projects listed will help Fish and Wildlife continue to conserve, protect, and enhance Kentucky's fish and wildlife resources and provide opportunities for hunting, fishing, trapping, boating, shooting sports, wildlife viewing, and related activities. The Ballard Big Pump is required to effectively manage water levels on a complex of wetland units for waterfowl hunting. It replaces smaller, faulty equipment. The new state hatchery project focuses on enhancing fish production for conservation, recreational fishing, and ecological restoration. This project involves infrastructure improvements such as water filtration systems, breeding tanks, fish rearing ponds, and facility modernization to meet environmental and sustainability standards. The goal is to support fish populations, improve fisheries management, and contribute to local economies through recreational and commercial fishing industries. The indoor gun range and training facility is designed to provide a controlled, state-of-the-art environment for firearms training, tactical exercises, and law enforcement skill development. The facility features multiple shooting lanes equipped with advanced ballistic containment, soundproofing, and ventilation systems, ensuring safety and compliance with environmental regulations. This project aims to enhance the preparedness, marksmanship, and technical skills of law enforcement personnel while ensuring compliance with safety and regulatory standards. It may also support civilian firearms training programs and hunter education certification courses.
Thank you for allowing us to present our cabinet's capital projects to you today. We have representatives from all of the agencies we've discussed if you have any questions.
Do any members? Okay. Senator Rawley, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Brewer, you mentioned electric charging stations. Do the users pay for that battery power, for the power?
So I would like to defer that question to our Artisan Center representative, who should be on site, Todd Finley, the director of the Artisan Center.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Todd Finley, Executive Director at the Kentucky Artisan Center. So because we do see so many visitors and we are located right off the interstate, charging station as electric vehicles have become more and more popular are a huge request of ours. And yes, they would generate revenue for us, and it would be a revenue generating stream for us.
So there is a charge, there is a return on investment for the state then?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Senator Robert. Any other questions? I have a direct. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was wondering if there were some representatives of the State Fair Board here or online?
Online.
Yeah, I just wanted to, given the two phases that have been funded so far in the last two budgets, realizing the second phase doesn't come into, the funds don't start till a couple of weeks from now. Just wanted to get a sense of how things are going with the first phase and the design of the second phase.
Yeah, this is Kevin Moore. I'm General Manager of the Kentucky Exposition Center. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Yeah, phase one has officially begun. Construction started. New Market Hall has been completely demolished. They are doing some other enabling projects, infrastructure type electrical and other projects, but it is on schedule. Design for phase two will start here within I believe the official kickoff is within the next week or so. However, there has been some preliminary work done on that. So I would anticipate over the next couple of months, we'll start having designs regarding phase two and more specific information to offer on that piece of the project.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? I have a couple. If not, I'll go ahead and proceed. So we talk a lot about the projects that we're spending money on, and Senator Rawlings mentioned about the revenue coming in from the charging stations. So we have a lot of tourism. Obviously, is extremely important to the state. I mean, I am very well that. I mean, I think it's probably the top thing we got going for us right now. That's what I believe, because those people coming from out of state and whatever. But they are renting rooms at our resorts and that. And so I know we're not making a profit. So I think we all understand that. But can you give me an idea roughly what type of revenue is coming in as a percentage of what we're spending, in a way of what we get in revenue?
Commissioner Meyer.
And how you doing? I'm Russ Meyer, and I'm Commissioner of Kentucky State Parks. Thank you. And I did hear your question, and it was a question of what is our revenues versus our expenses
Right, so
for state
obviously
parks?
it takes a certain amount of money to run all these
Right.
facilities. And, you know, if you're in business and you're doing this privately,
Mhm.
you have your income and your expenses. And so I'm just trying to
Right.
get a feel for, and I don't know the answer, of how much revenue we're receiving in relationship to how much we spend.
We are receiving, it's right in the high 50s, closer to 60 million, and we're spending what you all allow us to spend.
Right.
So and, that's around 125, just north of 125 million. So.
Okay. All right. That answers that
And,
question.
you know, we're taking care of 50,000 acres across the state in pristine areas that are, in a lot of ways, destinations.
That's a good answer. Thank you
Yes.
so much. And then I did have one other question. So on the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife, I'm assuming these are monies that you're just asking permission. Someone's asking permission for us to spend, not general fund dollars, or is it? Or are they general fund dollars?
So we have the representative from Fish and Wildlife, Commissioner Rich Storm
Oh,
here,
there he is.
and we'll turn
I've
that
talked
over
to
him.
the commissioner about these, but I wasn't sure I was going to see it on this today.
So yes, sir. Rich Storm, Commissioner of Kentucky Fish and Wildlife. We would like any funds that we could get for these projects to be allocated, but at this point, we would use predominantly federal funding and maybe private funding as well.
That's the indoor gun range. Since you're here, training facility. Where would that be located?
Here in Frankfort, and that would be a 90-10 grant, so we would anticipate 90% federal funding, 10% state.
All right. Thank you so much. That's Director Hicks. Wiley.
Yeah, Commissioner Storm, seeing a new fish hatchery in your list. You know, I think we've got two
We do.
right now, and so I wondered if you could give us a little background on what you think, you know, the demand for, you know, and the need for another. The other
Well,
one is.
absolutely. Great question. This is certainly conceptual at this point. We have one in the east. We have one here in Frankfort. This would be I-65 or west. We have not identified that property. We do have some potential donors that would like to give us land. In this particular case, it would be far more expensive to fund this with all the logistics. The land's just going to be a small part of that. But what we are trying to establish is the thoroughbred bass, and that's going to be a first of its kind genetic based on growth rates and based on overall fish health. And we would like to build this facility around the thoroughbred bass program.
Okay. I may have some more questions about that later, but for today's purposes, I think that that's all I have. Anybody else? Thank you so much for your presentation.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
And now we'll have the Transportation Cabinet. And I think this is where the big numbers are going to come from.
We don't have any. Okay, good.
Good afternoon. Please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
Senator, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jim Gray. I'm Secretary of Transportation, and thank you for your public service. Let's start out with first things first. How about that?
Thank you, sir.
Sean McKiernan, who is Executive Director for our Budget and Fiscal Management Department, is here and will give most of the presentation, but I thought I might just put a bit of context, and Secretary Hicks is here, and Secretary Johnson's here, Secretary Jackson's here. So there's a lot of members of the administration here. But to perhaps punctuate what Sean is about to present, there are 4,500 members of our team, 4,500 employees in the Transportation Cabinet. About 3,400 of those are in the Department of Highways, which, as many of you know, has been in many respects on the front lines, especially with the natural disasters that we've had. 14 natural disasters declared, and oftentimes our folks have been described as sometimes the first of the first responders. And why is that? Because our first responders have a tough time getting to victims if the roads aren't cleared. And that's what so much of what we have done in the last 5 years, and perhaps even longer than that, but that's my experience, has been to do just that. So Sean's going to take you all through our presentation, and I may, if at a point in time, a couple of items I have a particular interest in that I may footnote or put an appendix to. So, Sean, take it over.
Good afternoon. The Transportation Cabinet's mission is to provide a safe, efficient, environmentally sound, and fiscally responsible transportation system that delivers economic opportunity and enhances the quality of life in Kentucky. The Cabinet is responsible for the construction, reconstruction, and maintenance of the Commonwealth's multimodal transportation system, which includes almost 28,000 miles of highways, to include 1,400 miles of interstates and parkways, and 9,069 bridges. There are about 49 billion vehicle miles driven in Kentucky each year, about 85% of them on state-maintained roads. And the Cabinet's Department of Aviation provides oversight and inspection for 58 public airports in coordination with the Federal Aviation Administration. As Secretary Gray mentioned, the Transportation Cabinet has 4,500 employees that are dedicated to accomplishing this work, and they rely on over 1,200 facilities throughout the state in all 120 counties to get the job done. While the primary infrastructure of the Cabinet is the transportation system itself, our infrastructure also includes salt barns, maintenance facilities, district offices, and chemical storage sheds. Our IT infrastructure keeps us compliant with federal regulations and keeps us connected with 21st century consumers. And our Department of Aviation's hangars and terminal buildings allow state aircraft to fly safely and keep our state skies safe for the flying public. Rest areas, welcome centers, and truck havens are important for safety and to provide hospitality to Kentucky's visitors. We have 15 rest areas, 8 welcome centers, and 4 truck havens across the state, and we keep them maintained and renovated as needed and able. The capital plan we've developed includes the traditional pools for competing maintenance needs, new construction projects that address major issues outside the scope of our maintenance pools, and projects to address IT needs that help the efficiency and core functionality of our work. Our maintenance pool requests include the recurring pools, general maintenance, rest area and way station maintenance, aircraft maintenance, and pools for environmental compliance and state park roads. New pools requested in this plan, if funded, will address safety issues, security issues, salt structure maintenance, and district office maintenance. New construction requests in this capital plan include the Letcher County equipment and salt storage facilities, both having been inundated with floodwaters in the 2022 and 2025 Eastern Kentucky flood events. Equipment facilities and salt structures are mission-critical structures that support the safety of our highways and our personnel, and these projects can be found in this capital plan. The Ashtaware IT infrastructure request is a recurring request that keeps day-to-day cabinet operations compliant with federal regulations. The new IT item in this plan is for Department of Highways Technology Modernization that takes several existing applications used for planning, design, construction, and maintenance of roadways and transportation facilities and updates these applications, improving efficiency and workflow in our regular operations. Finally, we have a request to replace outdated equipment in our geotechnical branch to automate testing processes, optimize staff time, and create long-term savings while meeting federal, state, and industry standards. Our current equipment is so old the replacement parts have been very hard to find, and also individuals that are able to use and service those equipment are also hard to find. The Cabinet's vision is to be a national leader in transportation infrastructure and services for the 21st century. This capital plan will help the Cabinet push forward with improvements to our transportation infrastructure while acknowledging market pressures, limited resources, and competing needs across the Commonwealth. We are happy to answer any questions you might have. We have individuals from various areas throughout the Cabinet and in the audience that may be able to answer your more specific questions.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions from our members? Director Hicks.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Secretary and Sean. Sean, you had mentioned a new pool here associated with facility safety improvements. I wonder if you might give us a few examples of the kind of projects and efforts that would be funded from that.
I would be happy to. Under the safety improvement pool, it's for funds aimed at improving employee safety and allowing the Cabinet to specifically address safety issues such as needing to comply with fire code and some specific initiatives that would help with safer maintenance. I would like to call him Pat Grugan. I'd like to phone a friend, if you will. Pat, could you come forward?
By the way, Pat Grugan, just for information, Pat Grugan is a special person. He is the guy that is responsible for the 1,200 facilities throughout the Cabinet in every 120 counties. So whenever I've got a little sticker on my desk and it says, whenever there's a problem, 1-800-CALL PAT.
I'm not sure about that, Secretary, but thank you.
Yes, sir.
A lot of the facilities we have, ADA is not done correctly. The parking is a little bit bad too. I want to put cameras at some of these places too to catch anything. You know, anybody has an accident or something like that, we have cameras that see it. And I don't think the money we're asking for is going to cover all the safety stuff we need, but it'll be a good start. A lot of our buildings are old, as you know, and we're having trouble keeping them together.
Representative Dodson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have more of a comment than I do a question, but Secretary Gray, I just want to commend you guys and your department for all the hard work you do. You guys have always been accessible to us, and the work that you all have done through all these natural disasters have really proved that you guys are on top of your game. And I just wanted to just make that comment and just thank you for the work that you've done.
Well, thank you, Mr. Representative. Thank you, sir. I will say, just as, when I look at these capital expenditure requests, and I think of these 4,500 people and how proud they are of their work. And that's every single day. And you all know that if you have the kind of equipment you need to do the job safely and well, then you're going to do that job better. And we've been careful in these requests to be responsible, to think efficiently what we need, and I can tell that when it's coming from this fella, he's going to be efficient with the requests. I have another comment in a minute, but whenever you all go through with your questions.
Anybody else have any? I've got a couple real quick. So the number of employees you talked about there a while ago, 4,500. How is that comparatively today as it was, say, several years ago?
Oh my goodness!
Is that holding steady, or is it more or less?
Senator, I've heard stories that at one time this cabinet, 25 years ago, had 12,000 employees.
Wow!
And it's down to that number now. We're making efficient use of contractors and subcontractors and consultants these days. But it is nevertheless it is a challenge. But when these folks are as committed as they are, then they're getting the work done. And we do have a very efficient use of contractors today. For example, with our snow and ice crews, that's something. In 25 years ago, when the big storm came in 96 or 99? Somebody here is going to help me remember. What was it, John? 96. I know 90. Yeah, I remember who the governor was, and I'm not going to call it. God rest his soul. Yeah, and that precipitated or encouraged the use of more private contractors and managing those contractors efficiently, and that's what all of our districts are. They are all focused on that as supplements to their crews.
Well, you have a monumental task. I think we all agree with that. Well, I do have one other question, and this is a general question related to my time and experience on the Government Contract Review Board. So
yes, sir.
Some of these huge projects, obviously they're bid. But right now, with the way the things are going, things are continuing to shoot up. It's hard to hit the target because it seems like the target keeps jumping. But what I've noticed in a lot of these is the engineering costs are sometimes, to my opinion, look extremely. There's a lot of money, let's put it this way, going out in some of these things. And so, does the department have a specific set amount that you allow for engineering costs? 8%, 10%? Is there a particular specific amount that's allowed for engineering?
Our procurement for consulting services is they do coming from the private sector and then having been mayor of Lexington, I envy the procurement section that we have in the cabinet. Do a really extraordinary job, and they do have benchmarks. They do have very clear benchmarks for what consultants should be and can be compensated for.
And do you have a
the
number?
engineers.
Is it 8% or 10%?
You know, that
engineering
that
firms
number
versus-
that will vary according to the complexity of the project.
Okay.
But you're not you're in the neighborhood.
Okay.
Yeah, especially for a more complex, sophisticated project like a highway or a bridge.
What I see, not just this, and other construction projects that we get bids on stuff, and we agree on a price of the engineering, and then there's a lot of change orders and things come in, and that increases the price. So
it can. I will say, though, Senator, that our folks in these district offices and at the central office are very, very attentive to just that.
Great.
I've been impressed with it.
Keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you. For
Let
your
me say
presentation.
one thing real
Oh, yes,
quick.
sir.
Since
Go ahead.
I hear y'all are ahead on schedule, so I said earlier that I wanted to put a footnote or an appendix to one thing on here. Now, Pat's got and Sean have done a really great job of putting all this together, and it's impressive. I'll tell why. In some respects, we have this request for rest areas and welcome centers. We have 15 rest areas, as Sean mentioned, 8 welcome centers, and 4 truck havens across the state. So, sometimes your friends and neighbors give you a lot of good information. Well, my neighbors, John and Carolyn Hackworth from Lexington, they were driving back from North Carolina through West Virginia, of course, and they stopped at a rest area in West Virginia, and they said they had a great experience. It was just so welcoming and clean and up to date. And they said then they stopped at one after they hit the Kentucky border. Now, we've already made improvements on that particular one, but we're really hopeful that we'll be able to do some improvements that will set a new bar, not necessarily making these welcome centers in our rest areas necessarily better exponentially better than our neighboring states, but at least on par. That's what our objective is. Now, Secretary Hicks and we've had several conversations about this. Secretary, have I described it reasonably well? Okay, thanks. Pat, do you want to add to that? You know these facilities very well.
The facilities are the facilities are fairly old, and we have a lot of infrastructure problems with them now. So we definitely need the money to fix the problems, because they're not going to get better without fixing them.
Well, I'd have to say I'd give you some compliments, because the ones that I've been in have been pretty nice. So
that's good.
Obviously, the other end of the state maybe not so good. I'm in the western part of the state.
We are. It's not entirely across the board, but where we need help and where we need to make these improvements, we think we really need to do that.
Right. Any other comments?
No,
do you
sir.
have some other? All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
And the meeting, our next meeting is scheduled for 1 o'clock Wednesday, July the 9th, in the same meeting room, and we will include capital plan oversights for our state's post-secondary education institutions. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion is second. Meeting is adjourned.
I can't be here because I'm going to be in D.C.
Okay.
Oh. I'm getting an award. I'm getting
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. What you do? Oh, we appreciate it.
We just wanted to make sure that it was Team Kentucky over there, backing up Sean and Sally. Good to see you.
Hey, I've always been on the rest area.
This description is giving me nothing.
Well, that's what.
So there's no time to flip. Oh, I know that's
He would have had everybody in here. I think it would have been too much. That's what I was getting at. Yeah. Like, well, did you already?
Well, like, the thing that's online, but I couldn't put it in words was there's a safer way to wash vehicles, but we just don't have the equipment. And, right, just some of that. I heard it, but I don't know. Yes, sir. I just want to say hello. All right. Yes, sir.
I mean, it's